Jessica Miller always said she hated those self-important elitists, so I never told her who I really was. But after she landed a major endorsement deal, the paparazzi caught her making out with a mystery man in a luxury car, and she didn't even bother to deny it. Instead, she announced the relationship herself. Staring at the flood of headlines on my phone and the breakup text from Jessica, I let out a cold laugh and told my assistant, "From this moment on, cut off everything we've been doing for Jessica." I lounged back on the executive sofa, scrolling through the photos Jessica, grinning from ear to ear, straddling a red sports car and locking lips with some guy. There were even shots of them walking into a hotel together. Jessica had never tried to keep this affair under wraps. The photos were taken from every possible angle. Right, I almost forgot at this point in her career. There's no need for her to hide anything. From a nobody at the bottom of the celebrity food chain to one of the hottest rising stars in the entertainment world, she had climbed the ladder without missing a step. The industry and the internet alike adored her. And now, with an international brand like Able backing her, her career was on fire. Falling in love during such a golden time, no one would criticize her for it. In fact, many would admire her for being bold, independent, and fearless in love. What no one knew was that her fame and glowing public image were all orchestrated by me behind the scenes. When we first met, she wept and told me she couldn't stand the filthy rules of this business or the people who made them. She swore she would only stand in the spotlight with a clean conscience. How ridiculous. I actually believed her and stood by her for years. If she now thinks she's strong enough to go solo and insists on cutting ties with me, fine. I put down my phone and said to my assistant, "Cut off everything. Tell those directors there's no need to take me into account anymore, just cast whoever they want." "Yes, Mr. Dawson, I'll take care of it," he replied, fully grasping what I meant. He's been with me for years after all. Wasn't Jessica the one who despised the dirty games of the entertainment industry? Funny, because I'm the one who makes the rules. I used to shield her from all that, but there's no need anymore. "Mr. Dawson," my assistant continued, "one more thing. Able sent another formal invitation. They're sincerely requesting your attendance at their launch event. The chairman also said you must go or he'll come get you himself." Able's regional head had sent me several invitations already, but I declined them all. Jessica would be there, and I didn't want her to know I was the very kind of person she hated the puppet master behind the scenes. The chairman, our family patriarch, had already called me multiple times about it. Over the past few years, I skipped countless events because of Jessica. Rumors even started that the CEO of Dawson Group had gone off to become a monk. That's when it hit me how much time, money, and effort I'd wasted on her. So I told my assistant, "Get back to Able and tell them I'll be attending. And give my father a call, tell him Luke Dawson is back. He can stop worrying about the company and just enjoy retirement." "Welcome back, Mr. Dawson," my assistant said, with a relieved smile before leaving the office. I changed out of my cheap casual clothes and gave my unkempt hair a proper trim. The next day, I showed up at Able's launch event as promised. As a global cosmetics giant, Able had booked the most prestigious hotel in the city. That day, the place was packed with top Asian celebrities and industry leaders. The media outside nearly blocked the entire street. My assistant parked the sports car and turned to ask, "Mr. Dawson, should I call and have them clear the press?" "No need. I'm used to it." After years of hiding in plain sight for Jessica, I'd become just another face in the crowd. These reporters were too busy chasing stars to notice the long-absent CEO of Dawson Group. Still worried, my assistant went to park the car alone while I walked straight into the hotel. As I expected, the cameras were all focused on familiar celebrities. No one gave me a second glance. Just as I handed my invitation to security, I heard an explosive roar behind me. "Jessica! Jessica! Jessica!" I turned around and saw Jessica stepping out of a red Ferrari on the arm of a slick, well-groomed man. She looked stunning, every smile and gesture almost spellbinding. I had forgotten how good her natural looks were, add Abel's makeup to the mix, and no wonder she outshone everyone. She was no longer that timid girl being pressured to drink at networking parties. She greeted fans and reporters with practiced ease. Her pale, slender arm looped naturally through the man's, sweet and clingy, yet effortlessly poised. But the moment her eyes met mine at the door, her smile froze. The man beside her noticed and followed her gaze, locking eyes with me. The guy wasn't completely unfamiliar. My assistant had shown me his photo once, but I was in a rush to celebrate Jessica's birthday back then and didn't pay much attention. Didn't expect to meet him in person today. Unlike Jessica's awkwardness, his reaction was pure aggression. He unhooked her arm and gripped her hand tightly, then marched past me with a showy flourish, throwing 2 invitations at the security guard and saying, "Big day for Abel, huh? Make sure you keep the riffraff out." Then, as if to provoke me further, he raised an eyebrow and pulled Jessica inside. I merely smiled at his little stunt. Arrogance and cockiness, classic rookie behavior in this industry. I'd seen it all before. Once they were inside, I followed them into the hotel lobby. It was clear Abel had gone all in. The entire hotel, from top to bottom, was decked out in massive posters of Jessica. All I had done was casually let my assistant leak that she was my girlfriend, and this was how far they'd taken it. Jessica had just stepped into the lobby when she was immediately surrounded by a swarm of people, mostly producers and brand reps, all eager to get something from her. She seemed to be enjoying the attention, handling the crowd with ease. As I was looking for my seat, her boyfriend suddenly appeared out of nowhere and slapped a card into my hand. "I know who you are. You just want money, right? Here's $100,000. Take it and scram." "Heh, $100,000?" I twirled the card in my fingers and looked at him like he was an idiot. I really must have kept a low profile these past few years if a rookie like him dared to act this bold in front of me. But my look of disdain was clearly misread as greed. He sneered. "Jessica was right. You're not worth her love." "Fine, I'll double it. Another $100,000. Just make sure I never see your face again, or you'll regret it." "Oh, regret it? And what exactly can a nobody like you do to me?" I stared at him like he was some kind of clown. No one had ever dared to threaten me before. He actually piqued my curiosity. Have you heard of Dawson Entertainment? I'm about to sign with them." "Jessica told me you're just a lowly crew assistant. Getting you blacklisted would be a piece of cake." "Dawson Entertainment?" I almost burst out laughing. Wasn't that my company? When did I ever agree to sign him? Now that I thought about it, those photos my assistant showed me recently were indeed of potential new recruits. But that was just a short list. I had the final say. It was laughable that he thought being shortlisted meant a done deal. Scared now? You need to face the facts you and Jessica are no longer in the same league. Better get lost while you still can. That smug look on his face stirred a wave of disgust in me. I pulled out my phone and called my assistant. "Hello, Mr. Dawson. I'm in the underground parking lot. Heading up now." "No rush. Quick question among the recent candidates for signing. Is there someone named—" It was only then that I realized I didn't even know this guy's name. I glanced at him and asked, "What's your name?" "What the hell are you, stupid? You seriously don't know who I am?" He actually thought he was some big deal and snapped like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. I couldn't be bothered with his nonsense and said directly to my assistant, "Jessica's boyfriend." "Got it. That's Jason. Don't worry, Mr. Dawson. I've already removed his name from the candidate list. I've also notified other agencies they won't be signing Jason either." "Good. That's all I needed to know." So the list my assistant showed me really was for official contracts, just as I suspected. Before I could put my phone away, Jessica's displeased voice rang out from behind me. "Luke, I didn't think you were this petty, stooping to such childish games." I hadn't lowered my voice during the call, so she'd heard the entire conversation. I didn't even know when she got behind me. I turned slowly, only to meet her angry glare. She strode over to Jason and stood beside him. "I made it clear in my breakup text we're not in the same world anymore. Can you stop pestering me? If it's money you want, just call me. I'll give it to you." "Jessica, get over yourself. I didn't come here for you, and I sure as hell didn't come for money. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. I'm here because I was invited, that's all." "Bullshit! You think this is a public market where anyone can walk in? Don't tell me you bribed security to get through the door." Jason grabbed a passing staff member and said, "Hey, this guy doesn't have an invitation. He snuck in. Are you just going to let that slide?" The staffer politely stepped back and replied with a smile. "Sorry, sir. Everyone here came in with real name registration. There's no such mistake." "You must be mistaken." With that, he walked off swiftly. Jason's face darkened. Jessica then stepped forward, her tone almost commanding. Luke, it's over between us. Stop making a scene. Let's just pretend none of this happened. If you keep this up, I'll have security escort you out once the event starts. Oh? Should I be thanking you for that generous offer? Enough, Luke! I don't know how you got in here, but do you realize every seat here has a name on it? Once the event begins, there won't be a place for you. Even if I keep quiet, the organizers will still kick you out. You should just leave now. The moment she said that, Jason's eyes lit up. He grabbed Jessica's arm and said, Come on, don't end the show before it starts. Then he raised his voice and shouted, Everyone, look over here! We've got a paparazzo sneaking in! The crowd immediately stirred. Paparazzi were always a sensitive subject. People began to gather around, and I became the center of attention. I looked around. These people were all nobodies to me, yet they dared to glare at me with disgust. Some even hurled insults. Jessica's expression soured. She hadn't expected Jason to draw a crowd like that. But she wasn't worried about me. She was worried I might spill our history and embarrass her. After all, in her eyes, I was still just a broke assistant. So, putting on a show of generosity, she told the crowd, Everyone, it's all right. He's just an overly enthusiastic fan. No need to cause trouble. Let's just let him leave. Then she turned to me and whispered, Luke, go. Before this blows up any further. Luke? That name sounds familiar. Someone nearby muttered. That man furrowed his brows, thinking hard, then suddenly snapped his fingers. Wait, I remember now. Isn't the CEO of Dawson Group also named Luke? His words hit like a bomb, exploding through the crowd. Jessica and Jason both turned to me in utter shock, but I didn't see any reason to feel proud about being recognized in a place like this. My expression remained calm. Their reactions? Completely meaningless to me. Just as the crowd buzzed with speculation about my identity, a middle-aged man dressed like a businessman shook his head. Something doesn't add up. I heard Mr. Luke hasn't shown up at events like this in years. Not even the paparazzi know where he's been. No way he'd randomly show up here. Yeah, I've heard the same. Abel sent him 7 invitations, and he turned them all down. This guy has to be a fake. Every seat here is assigned. Just check if there's one reserved for Mr. Luke. That'll prove whether he's the real deal or not. The last comment sent the whole crowd into a frenzy, scouring the lobby like headless chickens. After turning over every single seat and finding no spot with my name on it, the crowd finally relaxed. Especially Jessica, the panic and confusion in her eyes completely vanished, replaced by cold indifference. Told you, the real Mr. Luke would never show up without bodyguards, especially not without his assistant Tony. He never goes anywhere without him. Convinced I wasn't the CEO of Dawson Group, I once again became the lowly nobody they felt free to ridicule. Jason didn't hold back either, shouting for security to throw me out. Amid the noise on the first floor, a sharply dressed middle-aged man slowly descended the stairs. He frowned at the commotion below, then shouted from the steps, Quiet! The crowd froze and turned to look. When they saw who was standing on the stairs, gasps rippled through the room. Everyone went silent, everyone except me, still standing calmly with a faint smile. As he reached the bottom, Jason and Jessica rushed toward him. Uncle Carlos, did the noise downstairs disturb you? Jessica asked sweetly, tiptoeing around him. The man wasn't just anyone, he was Carlos, Abel's head of operations in Asia, and currently Jessica's financial backer. Carlos didn't even glance at her. He scoffed. I'm here to welcome Mr. Luke. And by the way, stop calling me Uncle Carlos. From now on, it's Mr. Carlos to you. Mr. Carlos. Wait, Luke who? Jason asked nervously. Carlos ignored him and walked straight toward me. As he approached, everyone standing near me instinctively stepped aside to clear his path. When he reached me, Carlos gave a deep bow and said apologetically, I'm so sorry, Mr. Luke. This was my oversight. You shouldn't have had to deal with this noise. What? Carlos's sudden deference caught the entire room off guard. Jason was the first to recover. He rushed forward and said, Mr. Carlos, you must be mistaken. He's just a crew assistant. Smack. Before Jason could even finish, Carlos slapped him hard across the face. He then picked up a glass of champagne and poured it over his own hand like he was washing off filth. You blind fool! You think you're qualified to question Mr. Luke's identity? He then turned to me and gestured respectfully. Mr. Luke, your table is ready upstairs. I've arranged a private banquet. Let's dine and talk. All right. I walked past Jason and Jessica without so much as a glance and climbed the stairs. That's when my assistant finally arrived. Mr. Luke, I've canceled all of Jessica and Jason's business activities. The directors have all been informed as well. Is there anything else you'd like me to handle? Tony ascended the stairs quickly to deliver his report. He's always been efficient. I only skimmed the documents he handed me before returning them. Find out who those people on the first floor are. Handle them accordingly. After all the humiliation I just endured down there, it was time to settle scores. Tony nodded with a cold expression. I knew he already had a plan in mind. Sweat beaded on Carlos's forehead. He might be powerful, but everything's relative. In front of me, even the regional head of Able didn't hold enough weight. Once I went upstairs, chaos erupted downstairs. No one had expected my identity to be real. Jason was so full of regret, he looked ready to slap himself, but it was too late. Jessica stood frozen, staring blankly as Carlos bowed and ushered me into the VIP room. Even as Abel's spokesperson, she wasn't important enough to share a table with Carlos. Not long after, her phone rang. It was her agent. Jessica picked up the phone in a daze. The voice on the other end roared with rage. Jessica, who the hell did you piss off? Several directors we already signed with just pulled out, and a bunch of endorsement deals are suddenly being canceled. What the hell did you do? The words hit Jessica like a slap. She finally realized what was happening and looked up at the second floor in panic. Before she could even respond, her agent shouted again. I don't care who you offended, go apologize now. Beg them for forgiveness if you have to. Otherwise, you're finished. Click. The call ended abruptly. Jessica stood there, dumbfounded. Ever since she met me, her career had been smooth sailing. Her agent had practically treated her like royalty. But now, she was completely lost, with no idea how to even begin fixing things. At the same time, Jason and everyone else on the first floor had their phones ringing off the hook. As each one answered, their expressions turned ghostly pale. These were probably the scariest calls of their lives. When Jason finally hung up, the light in his eyes was gone, replaced by hopeless despair. His most anticipated projects were all frozen at once. The production he was about to join told him not to bother showing up, and as for that Dawson Group contract, forget it. Just like that, his career was over. He was out of the entertainment industry for good. Meanwhile, I had already followed Carlos into the VIP room. As expected, a banquet was laid out. But what shocked me was the man already seated at the table. The moment I saw him, I blurted out, Dad, I thought you were in the Maldives. Why are you here? That's right. The man sitting there was none other than Kyle Dawson, chairman of the Dawson Group and my father. My father had gone to the Maldives not long after I took over the company. I used to visit him every year, but after getting together with Jessica, I hadn't made the trip in a few years. I didn't expect him to come back. You little punk. If I hadn't come back, the company would have gone down the drain under your watch. He grunted, then waved for me to sit beside him. Carlos and my assistant tactfully stood aside, not daring to interrupt our father-son conversation. Luke, I've heard everything. Letting a woman jeopardize the company's performance? That's not like you. And the worst part? She dumped you. Do you even realize how much damage this could do to our brand if it gets out? I know. I'm already working on fixing it and making up for the loss. I admit I lost my mind for a while. If it weren't for Tony managing things diligently, our current state would have been much worse. But now that I'm back in control, the damage is still manageable. Fixing it isn't enough. I'm back to take care of your personal life. I won't let you get used by love again. Seriously, even as the CEO of Dawson Group, I still have to deal with an arranged marriage? I looked at him, feigning shock. I knew he wouldn't pair me up with just anyone. And he knew I wasn't someone who followed orders blindly. Just then, a sweet voice rang out from behind the screen in the VIP room. Luke, if it's me, would you be satisfied? The sound gave me an involuntary shiver, and I immediately recognized the voice as Jennifer Delaney. If there was anyone I'd been afraid of growing up, it was her. The Delaney Group and our Dawson Group were basically sibling companies. Jennifer and I grew up together, but she was always the wild one, wilder than me even. Eventually, Uncle Delaney sent her abroad for school. I never thought she'd come back. Sure enough, Jennifer stepped out from behind the screen. The moment I saw her, I was stunned. My last memory of her was a skinny, tan girl with pigtails who used to wrestle me to the ground. But now, she had transformed into a graceful and stunning young woman. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Her cheeks turned bright red as she rushed over to my father and wrapped her arms around his shoulders. "Uncle Dawson, I don't think Luke listens to you anymore." "He wouldn't dare." My father snapped, slamming the table. Jennifer quickly began massaging his shoulders and chest, then turned to me with a playful warning. "You heard that, Luke. Don't go against Uncle Dawson's wishes." Watching these two pull off their little performance left me with a headache. Left with no choice, I gave in at least for now. Abel's launch event was about to begin. As I walked out of the VIP room with my assistant and Jennifer, we were met by a crowd outside the door. Jason rushed up the moment he saw me, dropping to his knees and trying to cling to my leg. But Tony stopped him with a single hand. Jason's face was soaked with tears and snot, and my suit was far too expensive to risk a stain. "Mr. Luke, please! I'm begging you, give me a second chance. I was blind just now." "I'll do whatever you say." He now looked like a kicked, stray dog, nothing like the arrogant jerk from earlier. I looked down at him, then smiled and said, "Let's hear you bark like a dog." "What?" Jason froze, stunned that I'd make such a demand. But while he stood there dazed, I had already walked past him. Realizing what was happening, he didn't even hesitate. He dropped to the ground and started barking. "Woof! Woof! Woof!" So loud it echoed through the hall. "Not bad. Pretty convincing. But I don't need any more dogs around me," I said with a smirk, then turned and headed down the stairs. Jason collapsed on the floor like a dog with a broken spine, surrounded by flashing cameras. This was a launch event, after all, and official photographers were everywhere. They hadn't even started shooting product photos yet, but they had just captured something far more explosive. This story would be worth just as much as Abel's product launch news. After today, Jason would be the laughingstock of the entire entertainment industry. But so what? He wasn't the first to end up like this at my hands. As soon as I got downstairs, Jessica blocked my path. Her eyes were red. She'd clearly just been crying. If this had happened before, I would have been heartbroken. But now, I felt nothing but cold indifference. "Luke, why are you doing this to me?" Her opening line made me want to laugh. She was the one who dumped me. Yet now she had the nerve to act like I was the villain. I didn't bother arguing. I signaled Tony to keep her away as I continued toward the stage in the center of the hall. Jessica didn't know when to quit. She kept shouting, even blurting out details of our past in front of everyone. Now, the entire venue knew that the CEO of Dawson Group had put his entire career on hold for 5 years over a minor actress. The scandal alone rivaled Jason's humiliating dog impersonation. Just before I stepped onto the stage, I looked back at Jessica one last time. Whatever lingering sympathy I had for her completely vanished. She wasn't the woman I once knew. I was beginning to wonder if she ever had been. She continued to scream hysterically, airing out all the things I'd done for her over the years. As her voice rose, Jennifer casually handed her expensive handbag to Carlos, then marched over and slapped Jessica across the face. Smack! The crisp sound echoed across the hall, and Jessica fell silent at once. "Luke is my fiancé. He always has been. I don't know what kind of lunatic you are, or where you came from, but if you insult him again, I'll sue you for defamation." Jennifer's bold declaration stunned everyone, including me. If I had any lingering doubts about her before, they were gone now. She was definitely the same girl who used to pin me down and beat me up. Jessica's face swelled immediately from the slap, but Jennifer acted like nothing happened. She took her handbag back from Carlos, walked over to me, and slipped her arm through mine. Then she pinched the soft flesh at my waist and growled, "You've got terrible taste in women. If I hadn't cleaned up your mess, your reputation would be ruined right now." I let out a soft chuckle and covered her hand with mine. "Don't worry, that won't happen again." The media captured every second of this loving moment. By tomorrow, it would be the top headline. At Abel's launch event, I publicly announced I would be taking full control of Dawson Group, and that in a few days, I would be marrying my fiancée, Jennifer, right here at this hotel, ending a 5-year-long love story. This news hit the entertainment industry like a bombshell. At the very least, it crushed the dreams of all those starlets hoping to marry into wealth. At the press conference, Jennifer told a beautifully fabricated love story. It was truly moving, even though only we knew it wasn't real. But what did it matter? As long as the ending was good. Due to recent events involving Miss Jessica, we've decided to terminate our collaboration with her. Our new brand ambassador is Miss Jennifer. With a grand gesture, Carlos made the announcement. Jennifer stepped on stage with a graceful smile and delivered her speech to the media with poise and charm. Meanwhile, Jessica sat on the floor like a doll discarded by its owner, eyes dull and lifeless. While Jennifer spoke, Abel's staff swiftly replaced all of Jessica's posters with new portraits of Jennifer. The torn posters of Jessica were tossed carelessly onto an inconspicuous spot on the hotel's ground floor. I thought Jessica would give up after that, but to my surprise, she went online to weep and wail about her heartbreak. In her version of the story, I became the cold-hearted man who tossed aside 5 years of love for a political marriage. Her die-hard fans completely forgot about her public displays of affection with Jason just days earlier and turned their outrage toward me. But to me, it was all like a drizzle, completely harmless. No matter how much noise they made online, it didn't affect me one bit. In fact, the public uproar even brought Dawson Group a wave of free publicity. Our artists and subsidiaries all benefited. Still, just because I didn't care didn't mean others didn't. Tony asked if I wanted to take action against Jessica, but I said no. Not because I still had feelings for her, but because striking now might give our enemies a chance to spin the narrative and cause trouble for the company. What I didn't expect was that while Tony stayed his hand, Jennifer made a bold move. She first blasted Jessica's fans online, then hired a team to push videos from the Abel press conference to the top of the trending lists, and nothing's more convincing than video evidence. Unfortunately for Jessica, she'd severed ties with me so cleanly that she didn't even have a single photo of us together. In the court of public opinion, she had no ammo. The fans who once adored her became the sharpest blades, cutting her to pieces. It was another decisive win for Jennifer. When she strutted into my office like a proud little rooster, I didn't say a word. I just grabbed her and kissed her hard. Only now did I truly understand what I wanted, who I really loved. Jennifer didn't have to do any of this, but she stirred up a storm for me anyway. She defended me online under the name of both the Delaney Group's heiress and the future Mrs. Dawson. If I didn't love someone like her, I'd be a fool. Jennifer froze in surprise at first, stiff in my arms, but then she completely relaxed, melting into the moment. She clung to me as if savoring the embrace. "Let's get married," I said, breathless, after we finally broke apart. Her cheeks flushed pink as she gave a shy nod, without saying a word. With both our families working behind the scenes, the wedding was held at the hotel as planned. Uncle Delaney had only one daughter, so after our marriage, the Delaney Group officially announced its merger with Dawson Group. With the combined strength of our two families, dominating the Asian entertainment industry was no longer a dream. After my strategic moves, Jennifer had skyrocketed to become the industry's most dazzling dark horse. Celebrities were clamoring to collaborate with her, and directors were lining up with scripts for her to choose from. During the wedding, I received a red envelope from Jessica, but I didn't open it. I handed it to Jennifer, who discovered it contained a letter threatening that if I didn't get back with her, she'd jump off a building. A childish threat like that didn't even deserve my attention. Amid the joyful festivities, the wedding went off without a hitch. Later, Tony mentioned Jessica's current situation. In the end, she didn't have the courage to go through with it, but she had nothing left. No agency would touch her, and she owed huge sums in breach of contract penalties. Under such pressure, she eventually turned to filming shady content. As for Jason, his fate was even worse. He'd become a plaything for rich women, unable to get a proper night's sleep. He was hollowed out, Physically and mentally a shell of a man, nothing but the walking dead. I sat in my office, flipping through documents Tony handed me, feeling utterly calm. Everything had long since passed. I no longer felt anything toward them. Then, a pair of soft, fair arms slid over my shoulders and pulled me into a hug. Jennifer leaned close, her delicate face brushing against mine. "Luke, are you feeling nostalgic for your ex?" I tossed the papers aside and laughed. "Nope, just enjoying the show." Then I kissed her. When we finally pulled apart, she wrapped her arms around my neck, leaned in, and whispered in my ear, "Congratulations, you're going to be a dad."